I'm gonna do my fic. Bratwurst. Bratwurst and Baguettes. Okay, here we go. Summary. Otis stated that if One Piece were set in the real world, Sanji would be French and Law would be German. Just wanted to play around with that idea. Notes. I'm a little rusty. Okay. The Straw Hats were holed up in the polar tang with their newfound ally Law and his heart pirates. Being on a submarine was the epitome of boring. Tensions were high between the two pirate crews, and some of them paired off to release their pent-up frustrations. Yeah, he did fuck. Law himself had taken a fancy to Sanji, the lanky French chef. God, that's hard to say. His mind tended to race when he started thinking about how flexible the blonde must be. But how to approach him? The French certainly enjoyed baking bread, something that Law was vehemently against. He also had yelled at the arrow cook multiple times for slipping umeboshi into his onigiri, to which Sanji had responded that he had made them as a replacement for bread out of the kindness of his heart. Maybe Law would start with telling Sanji that he was, in fact, grateful for the adjustments to the galley menu. The other members of the Straw Hat crew seemed to take him for granted, since Law never once heard any of them say thank you for the meal. Fucking ingrates. Law made his way to the kitchen, hoping that the long-legged beauty would be there. He was. Sanji was leaning up against the pantry door, smoking a long, slim cigarette with his eyes closed, and what could only be described as ecstasy. Long drag, long expulsion of smoke. The ex-warlord stared at the scene in front of him, watching Sanji's chest expand as he took a drag. His gaze shifted upward as the cook exhaled, and he... Wait, is Law sitting down in this scenario? Sorry. Okay. He watched those perfect lips form a circle as soft, billowing smoke escaped from them. Huh? This doesn't make any sense, bro. Alright, here we go. Suddenly, he realized that cold, gray eyes had met his gaze. Oh, those are Sanji's. Okay, sorry. Sanji Sanji glared at him unblinking for what seemed like an eternity, the cigarette between his fingers slowly burning away. Law could cut the tension with his sword. He could tell that everyone on the ship was bored being cooped up underwater in a tin can, but he had no idea how to read Sanji. He tentatively began closing in on the slim man in front of him, testing his reaction. Sanji slowly lowered his cigarette as Law approached, but his eyes narrowed each step of the tattooed man. Both were wary of the other, and unable to judge the situation they found themselves in. Sanji eyed the surgeon of death up and down, as he stalked within inches of his personal space. His eyes remained narrowed and unsure, but he could sense Law's trepidation, along with his increased heart rate and breathing. Sigh. Law sized up the cook as well. The blonde was standing, slightly crouched, mouth agape. It was a position that the older man construed as being one of pure confusion. He would use this to his advantage. He knew that Sanji, being French, would be quick to surrender. It's what the French do. Okay. Your tits hurt? Okay. Alright. Law tested the waters, reaching out his spindly, tattooed hand to cup Sanji's face and closed in on the shorter Frenchman. He wrapped his arms around the tiny waist and locked the other man in an embrace. Sanji let out a stifled moan and ultimately melted into the darker man's arms. Their lips met, a mess of wetness and heat that aroused the most primal instinct in them. I can't read this. Okay. Tongues intertwined, his hands wandered. Law's fingers traveled down the tailored suit of the man in his grasp, eventually landing on muscular thighs. He clamped down on Sanji's mouth in a euphoric state as he lifted the blonde up into his arms and set him on the adjacent counter. Fuck. I keep reading ahead and fucking killing myself. Alright. Law was Law was unaware and unable to care about anything other than what his own body was doing, but he could hear the clatter. Something had been knocked off the counter in their makeout session. He pulled away from Sanji's wet mouth long enough to confirm there were potatoes all around them. And out of breath Law managed to gasp, "Watch out for the kartoffels." Sanji pulled back, seemingly annoyed. "This is un fucking pomme de terre." Law, Law was so turned on by Sanji's anger, he pulled him into another kiss. The momentum which pushed Sanji into a natural arch against the counter. Law took advantage of the cook's position and freed his hands to pull the blonde's pants down. Sanji's member Sanji's member was rock hard at this point, and he was getting impatient, though he had no idea how to admit that he wanted it hard from the tall, dark, and handsome ex-warlord, currently ravishing his nipples with an obedient mouth. Sanji finally managed to find words. "Do you have any of the, how do you call it, slimy substance?" My French accent sucks. Law looked up from Sanji's left nipple. "Das Lube," he murmured, before stealing away and searching the kitchen for some oil. And then they fucked hard. Okay, no, it gets better, bro. I'm gonna continue. Is that okay? Here, here we go. I've been hard since I started writing it. Reading it, writing it. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Chapter 2. Here we go. All right. Wait, is it? Oh, this is chapter 2. Okay. I corkchin. It means the squirrel, you dickhead. You know what's funny is I'm yelling at you, but no one can hear you, so I just think I'm talking to myself. Are you ready? All right, I will give it to you hard, Matt. Here we go. This is a prequel to chapter 1. But it's not. It's set in the future. What the fuck? Alright, here we go. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. The Straw Hat Heart Alliance had been beyond lucky after escaping from Tothaland. The enormous elephant that carried the kingdom of Zol on its back just happened to be wandering the sea nearby. Law had his crew dock their submarine at the base of one of the massive legs and set out for the surface. With everything that had happened in the previous months, Law found himself missing the troubled Frenchman Sanji. And he was glad to have him back in the crew. The first thing he wanted to do was somehow express this, but he had no idea how. No, wait, he did. A picnic. Jesus Christ. I need to stop reading ahead. I'm sorry. Okay, he had no idea how. No, wait, he did a picnic. The cook loved food, obviously. So what better way to cheer him up and also reveal how much Law had missed him than with a meal? But what to make? The damn French love their bread, but he couldn't palate it. The only thing German and French food had in common was kartoffels. Sorry. Law decided to make a mean German potato salad. Paired with wine for the blonde and beer for himself. He quickly returned to the Polar Tag's galley to whip up the food as quickly as possible, for Sanji regressed into a pit of despair from his early actions against the Straw Hat crew. Roughly 30 minutes later it was ready, and even Law himself was shocked at the quality. Maybe some of the Arrow Cook qualities rubbed off on him in more ways than one, if you know what I mean. It's a prequel, right? They haven't done this before, but they did. He placed the salad in a basket, grabbed beer from the fridge and wine from the cabinet, and headed back up into the forest of Zell. Jesus Christ. Did I did I really write this? Alright. The Straw Hats were doing their own thing relaxing after Whole Cake Island, and Law nodded curtly at each of them that wasn't Sanji as he walked past. Luffy was engorged with meat, Frankie was drowning in cola, and Brooke was harassing Robin to see her panties as a reward for escaping Big Mom. Because you know, when I'm writing joke fic, I have to keep it canon. Panties. He has to see some panties. Alright. Whoa. Shit. Okay. Finally. Shit. Finally, he found Sanji leaning against a log deep in thought, watching some squirrels forage for nuts. Sorry. Law breathed in deeply, then tentatively approached the abrasive cook. Once he got close enough, he could see Sanji glaring at him, but he ignored it and set the picnic basket down between them and sat cross-legged to the right of the other man. Silence ensued for what seemed like hours until Law finally managed to utter, I made you some kartoffel salad. Did I really fucking write this? Alright. The blonde began to object, but Law pulled the wine out of the basket and used Chambers, to pull the cork out expertly, then poured it into a plastic cup. I'm glad you found that as funny as I do. Alright. Poured it into a plastic cup and passed it to Sanji without a word. Begrudgingly, the cook took the cup. Jesus Christ, I have to read this out loud. The cook took the cup and continued to glare at Law as he popped open the tap on his heathen canned beer. Sorry. Because he's from Germany, you fuck. Oh, yeah, it is liquid bread, isn't it? Afterwards, yeah. This is after we realized that Law would never drink beer. I know. Alright, here we go. Where was I? Oh, there you go, thank you. Are you reading along with me? Alright, good. I love you. Right, here we go. Anyone watching this is going to think I'm talking to myself. There we go. The Surgeon of Death raised his can, inviting Sanji to do the same. Prost, he said. Prost, he said, while slamming the can against the plastic cup. Amortrasante. The blonde responded unenthusiastically. Sanji sipped his wine with the fervor of a child. 뭐 그래 못싫어 wait, wait, stop. Okay. Hanji sipped his wine with the fervor of a child suffering meningitis. Law found himself sighing in disappointment at his inability to get the man of his dreams to be more receptive, and he turned away from the depressing scene to watch the squirrels continue foraging. Jesus. Okay. Without thinking, he quipped, "Die Skria are very hard worker, like German peoples." Sanji had his cup at his lips as Law said this, but he stopped in an instant and slowly lowered his hand as he turned incredulously toward the dark-haired man to his right. "The what?" he said. Law was taken aback by Sanji's sudden change in tone. Was he being mocked? "The squirrels?" he squeaked. Sanji's expression was unchanging as he prodded further. "Try again." "Skirl? None." "Squirrel? None." "Squale?" "What is this squale?" Suddenly Sanji did the unthinkable and laughed. Law was unsure how to feel, since he knew he was being mocked, but at the same time was relieved to see the cook being able to let loose. Law was glad to see the blonde smile as he continued to mispronounce squirrel. As he continued to mispronounce squirrel as much as possible to get the other man to laugh as much as possible. Wow, okay, that was shit. Alright, here we go. Chapter 3, the third. Here we go. Bratwurst and Baguettes, Chapter 3. Kartoffel-flavored kisses? Law manages to woo Sanji, but Zoro interrupts. Fuck! Yo, I get to speak Japanese in this one. Here we go. Yes. There you go. I can't. Okay. It gets progressively worse. Okay. Law's picnic was a success, or so he thought. A small hitch in that, being German, he had the inability to say the word squirrel, but he decided to use it to his advantage to make his move. So what? Sanji looked incredulous at the horrid sound that had come out of Law's mouth. Several more attempts later, and he was surprised with the Frenchman bursting out in laughter. He rarely saw Sanji smile, and he was hooked on making him do it more. Law pointed at the furry creature scurrying around in front of him. Das ist squirrel, yeah? He moved a little closer to Sanji as he said this. The blonde was staring ahead, sipping red wine. He laughed again, turning to Law. Where did you learn such a, how do you say, terrible Anglais? How how bad is my French? Is it? My French is terrible. Alright. Moving steadily closer, now finding himself staring at Sanji's lips. I'm sorry, let's start again. This is a great line. Moving steadily closer, now finding himself staring at Sanji's lips as he derided him like only the French can. Law replied, "What is wrong about the squirrel?" Sanji turned to face the dark-haired German, now inches from his face. Their eyes met, temporarily stunning Law. Embarrassed, he blurted out, "You know Jacques Cousteau, yeah?" Confused, the blond man stared, trying to figure out where this non-sequitur came from. "I know of this man, why?" "I admire him," Law continued. "Very hard-working man. Plus," Law began moving closer, this time determined. Jesus Christ. "I want to go as deep as he has." Sanji's breath quickened, but he remained transfixed on the golden eyes growing ever closer. He could hear Law's breathing. Ragged with nervousness, the older man came close enough that the cook could feel his heat. Law hesitated for a second, brows furrowing in an unfamiliar way, seeing the warlord, so unsure of himself, gave Sanji an unexpected jump in. I think I've forgotten English, bruh. Alright. The second of hesitation seemed a lifetime, while Sanji's eyes fluttered closed involuntarily. Law exhaled deeply and finally made his uncooperative body move the final inch forward. Their lips met, I can't speak. Their leaps, their lips met tentatively. The Straw Hat Pirate's mouth slightly open in anticipation while the Heart Pirate's lips, I'm sorry. While the Heart Pirate's lips were pursed closed, seemingly inexperienced, Sanji picked up on this and moved forward, using the log for balance as he reached out a hand and grabbed Law's shoulder. Jesus Christ, it gets worse from here. Law reflexively parted his lips. He allowed the younger man to temporarily take control. Sanji's tongue flitted into Law's mouth. And the surgeon of death could taste the red wine and kartoffels. The taste of the long-legged cook was overwhelming, and it managed to embolden the trepid devil fruit user. He finally responded to the intrusion between his lips, darting out his tongue to clash with the Vince Smoke Family failures. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm done. I can't do it. Darting out his tongue to clash with the Vinsmoke family failure's own, their flesh wrestling inside their heated mouths. The Straw Hat Heart Pirate Alliance affiliate broke from the kiss to gasp. Buckley, yeah. Sorry. Sanji's expression became wanton, and the Straw Hat Cook turned groom to be to the Big Mom Pirates and hailed sharply. Doctor, voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Sorry. The descendant of the D had no idea what the fuck the Frenchman just said, but it turned him on. Gathering up all of his wayward confidence, he reached out and clasped his hands around the back of the shitty cook's neck and went in deep for a kiss. Oi! Nani yattenda omae. Sorry. Startled by the sound, putting his fiancée in the open. Jesus Christ. Startled by the sound, Pudding's fiancé and the Ope user broke apart and glared at the source. Zoro stood in front of them, where the squirrels had been stands akimbo, and their expression filled with utter revulsion. Zakinna konoyomotachi. The cook and the doctor, not Chopper One, slid apart against the log, embarrassed by the intrusion. Sanji knew Marimo was just jealous, but he had no way to convey that to Law at the moment. Instead, the two of them reddened as Zoro hurled insults at them. So cook and oishi shire. With that outburst, Zoro kicked the log the two potential lovers were leaning against. Instead, Sanji reacted, Oi, stupid Marimo. What is the problem? Yeah, Law chimed in. Have dusk or double comment. With that, the berserk swordsman took the butt of his sword and knocked it down, killed the pirate. I can't. I'm done. I'm done. Sushi's. I can't do no that last chapter. I can't do it. I can't read it out loud. It's too much. I can't. I can't do Troll Zoro. I'm sorry. I'm done.